originally revealed as State of Play in 2022, Eternights is a first-time game by Studio Sai, and it's an action game also tries to combine dating sim aspects as well. I remember seeing stuff before this game got announced by the main developer as well on Reddit. Like, we were talking about stuff like, I think, like also in Episode 5 with Reddits. So talking about how their influence for the game, everything showing progress of developing it. So to see it show up in a state of play was freaking nuts, and hats off to them for getting this project so high and to be in a state of freaking play of all things, especially by PlayStation. That is super awesome to see. So the main premise is the anti-aging drug Eternights ends up mutating people to monsters. Supernatural events start happening everywhere, and while the protagonists that you name and their best friend Johnny are trying to escape to a different shelter, you end up being attacked, having your right arm cut off, but replaced by a magical one that allows you to fight back against the monsters. And now it's up to you and the friends you'll meet along the way in order to find the object called the stone that'll help be able to turn things back to normal. And the thing sounds simple, it's actually way more complicated. I am making it. There's a lot more things going on here, even just from this premise alone. I'm trying my best here. But to elaborate further, there are two architects who basically handle the world. One, Umbra, who is the opposing one who wants the stone in order to essentially be able to recreate the entire world, and Lux, the one who is helping you, who gives you a portion of her abilities, has the magical arm, or if ever get the monsters to get the stone, to prevent Umbra from changing the world as you know it. Let me get this out of the way right now. The prologue for this game is the worst part about this game. Not just the fact that it basically has to explain a lot rapid fire, the fact that it's very scripted, streamlined, not allowing you to do much at all. Also the fact that you can't skip through the dialogue or cutscenes, or certain cutscenes can be skipped, so on replays, you have to do this prologue a lot. But just also the fact that, because this game is very comedic as well, some of the comedy in the prologue is probably the game's worst attempts at humor. I know humor is subjective, but I feel like this prologue will just push people away more than it attracts, and I've seen that happen with other people, even also streamers, everything, that this prologue generally repels them rather than actually intrigues them. I feel like the prologue is just the worst part of the game, but after the prologue, things do get a lot better. How the protagonist is handled, I feel is a bit weird. Like the fact that the character has their own personality set with dialogue options they have. There have been points where all the dialogue options will just be comedic, and so this whole entire aspect of how the character basically only interacts with people, but you still pick the dialogue options for them and the situation going on and everything. So it's kind of weird in that respect, especially since there are points where the protagonists will fully talk on their own, but they're also not voiced. None of their dialogue prompts or any dialogue moments are voiced, only when in actual combat does a character have a voice. So it's weird how they have their own personality. The dialogue prompts can be heavily skewed towards that personality. Like, there are points where I didn't like any dialogue option given to me. They sometimes talk on their own, but they're still not voiced. I just find that weird when everyone else is a voiced character. And I remember reading how the main developer basically said how he didn't want the character to be a side protagonist, and technically they aren't, but they are in a sense though, they're just not voiced when actual conversations. While I do like the narrative overall of Eternights, I will say the characters aren't anything majorly complicated. They don't have to be. They just have to be enjoyable, and I do find them enjoyable in the characters in this game. I enjoy the character of Min, enjoy the character of Charlie, and I like how they act. Although, like I said, there are points where some of the comedy go with does make me feel a bit more annoyed, but I do like the characters overall, and especially when half this game is a dating sim where the main different characters you can particularly romance as well in this game. Now for main gameplay. The main gameplay, as before, is an action game, simply a hack and slash, and I will say starting out can feel a bit simple and stuff, but as you get more abilities, options do open up more and more. Although, don't like some of the options you get. Like, for example, you can do this big wide attack with a broadsword, but it feels so slow I don't really find it worth using even if I'm surrounded. Especially if I'm surrounded, because it's so slow I'll probably get hit by the time it fully goes off. So I'm mostly sticking to the light quick attacks as well. That the game mostly stick with that, especially since you can do a basic combo with that and some enemies. But the wide attacks I just don't like, and there's also a parry maneuver that I don't know how to get it to work, honestly. I've tried everything, but there are many things you can get, such as you have a freaking death blow attack, which you fill a meter. You can basically do an instant kill to enemies, or do big damage on a boss, which is super cool. You also have support skills you can get from other characters who basically support skills two different flavors. You have elemental attacks, which can deal damage, but also can be used to break barriers by enemies, which I'll get more to later. And you also have support skills such as, hey, character can make a shield, one character can heal you, one character can do a bonus attack, stuff like that. But I feel like it's more biased towards the healing because there's not any actual healing you get when you're in a dungeon. So having a character who can heal you, and that being Yuna, the first person you get, kind of skews more to using that for your meter, especially since you can't really refill that assist meter unless you leave the dungeon and come back. But ideally you want to do every dungeon on the first run to get it out of the way more quickly and more efficiently. And you do want to be efficient because there is a counter system in this game. Although this game is not that long, so don't be surprised by the amount of time they give you. Like, it's going to give you oh, maybe 8 days till this event. Don't worry about it because the dungeons aren't super long, so you can get things done on the first time going pretty well unless you're more newer to action games, in which case could take you more than one trip. But like I said, your first character they give you is Yuna, who can heal you, so that basically really helps when it comes to getting to the dungeons, but there's no healing in the dungeons themselves. So I feel like they really do well with that whole aspect. I really like the combat in this game, getting the perfect dodges for a slow-mo effect, getting the freaking skills to do more abilities with Tandis himself, right, and other characters to assist you. I will say, early on, the elemental barriers can be more annoying. You have to fill up a meter, then do your elemental fist attack, and then be able to freaking break the barrier. And there are times where bosses have multiple barriers to break, and I know later on you do get abilities that allow you to just do multiple elemental attacks in a row. That really helps with getting things done more faster, but it is still on the annoying side that that's not one of the things you start with. So basically you have to defeat her multiple times before you're able to actually start damaging a actual boss. So I feel like that could have been handled a bit better. Dungeons also have puzzles, and the puzzles come in different flavors. Could it be a forward puzzle, we gotta find out the right passageway? Could it be a slide puzzle that I hate with all my burning passion? Could it be a puzzle that's just trying to figure out how to open certain doors? Lots of variety in the puzzles and dungeons, and I do find them quite enjoyable. I do like the dungeons in this game, and they are fun. I also like this one puzzle where to do a perfect dodge in order to slow down time in order to progress, right, like a Bayonetta kind of thing. That is super cool and fun. As I do enjoy the dungeons, are not super long, so you can able to do it first try generally pretty fine, or you need to take multiple days. You can do that too. There are also mini-games in Eternights, whether it be the mini-games you do when you're hanging out with the characters, or the fact that there's this one motorcycle mini-game in one of the dungeons that I hate with a burning passion, because the fact that the motorcycle moves fast, so there's not much margin for error, and if things keep increasing in difficulty, it's helping you need to break these barricades, but the barricades can also block your view of what's coming up next, leading you to just crash because you don't know where to go next. It just becomes more trial and error. It just feels super annoying as a motorcycle minigame. In fact, you know what? I'm gonna play footage of that motorcycle minigame on the screen for the rest of this video, and we'll see if this video ends before I actually beat that minigame with the footage I have of it. Another minigame in this game I don't like is the one for Johan when you're hanging out with him, because not gonna lie, it feels the most RNG as hell in order to try to get an actual perfect rating. Like, it just feels unfair at times to try to get a perfect rating for that minigame. So I don't like that one either. Not the minigame. The one I like minigame like most is the one for Sia, just because it's, move the molecules left or right depending on the color of them. And the fact that they start putting out multiple of them, it starts getting more complicated, and you can start to just mess with panic. I feel like that's one of the players pushing up as opposed to Johan's, where it feels like RNG despises me. So that one sort of aspect I just don't really care for Johan's minigame or the motorcycle one. Now, the dating sim aspect of the game, so the social stats that you get for doing dialogue prompts or for just hanging out with Charlie, whose main thing is that he essentially buffs your social stats when you hang out with him for a special ability. But you can also do an entire side story thing with Charlie himself, so he's not left out as just being a character that buffs your stats. He is still a full character in himself, like everyone else, which is pretty cool. On top of the fact you have to do these sites with the characters that can lead romantically, you do also get the option to do other activities, whether it be mini games to get more affection with them, or also scavenge with them or to find items, which, okay, I know part of the scavenging thing is trying to pick out which location has the object, but their attempt to try to be funny with some of the object locations that you're looking for is honestly pretty annoying, because it just feels like basically I'm reloading my game now because someone thought, hey, that'll be funny if we place the flamethrower in the convenience store. And it's like, great, how's supposed to see that one coming? Kind of thing. But there are different objects characters will ask you to scavenge, and there's even a thing in the menu that keeps track of all the things they ask you for. I don't know why that has an entire menu and there's a giant barrage of them, but it's what you can do. Although scavenging, there's not much to it, but you do get benefits for doing it for the character, more affection, maybe more stat points, maybe things to get more upgrades, stuff like that. What I really like about the events for the characters is sometimes you can go to places and they'll actually have you go with the character one-on-one to the place doing hack and slash gameplay. So it's not purely just hang out with character, do cutscene, rank up. It's going to go to places and also allows you to get more acquainted with their abilities, since they'll be the only person with you. So why I said, hey, Yuna's ability of healing is the main thing I use. What if I go to a place of Min? Then there is no healing. Now I gotta use Min's ability of the shield to see, hey, how good is this kind of ability for combat? Maybe I'll try this more and we'll go to the main dungeons. Stuff like that. And I'd really like that hunter aspect, allows you to pretty much spend more, not just spend more time with the character's actual thing as a cutscene, but also allows you to get more acquainted with their abilities, which I really like. You also can't just completely blitz through a character's entire side story. Like, for each act of the game, there will be a point where the character caps out on how high you can go through their whole entire rank. It's not like you can just completely blitz through rapid fire. You will have to, at times, really have to do something else in the game, whether it be social stats, whether it be hanging out with other characters. Hang out with Chani. Hang out with your best friend. He's your pal, man. Hang out with him. Even Lux says don't forget about him, just because Chani's not one of the romantic interests in the game. So I feel some people may not feel like interesting to hang out with him, but he is a character you want to hang out with, and also his ability to create social stats is stuff you really want to have as well. So there's a reason to hang out with everybody, even if Chani is the only character you can't romance when it comes to the dating sim aspect of Eternights. Now, way earlier in this review, I mentioned how the main developer of this game had been in other Persona discussion boards, and yes, Eternights is very much influenced by Persona, but also not just having the gameplay aspects, but even having some of the voice actors from Persona 5 actually play roles in this game, which is super cool. They managed to do that because to a project that they really like to do, but it was the fact that see people use that as a negative toward the Eternights, like the idea of, oh, it lacks originality, or, oh, it being compared to Persona makes it look real bad. I don't think so at all, especially since it's just inspiration, and inspiration is good. Especially, so I don't see what the problem is, and the fact that it does things that feel different enough from Persona as well. Hell, it does things in this game I wish Persona had the guts to do, especially how the game handles its finale in regards to the dating sim aspects. There's some things that, this is a fact that I feel some people feel like bashing this game compared to Persona, where Persona doesn't do jack all with its actual romantic aspects of its gameplay, or the fact that, you know, there's an action game, hack and slash, rather than a turn-based RPG or anything, or the fact Persona 5's writing is not exactly good, so I don't understand how Eternights looks worse in comparison to that, but it's just you can feel the influence from this game, and influence is good, especially trying to do your own thing, your own spin on it, and I don't get the complaints people have in regards to it. I'm also going to mention the minigame for Min as well, because it is blatantly a minigame from Final Fantasy VII, doing squats, even the same button press kind of method, the whole entire thing. So there's another aspect you can see the game's inspiration of Final Fantasy VII. I mean, the main developer social media handle is FuckCloud. Like, you can see how much they love Final Fantasy VII, so you can see the inspiration Eternights has, top of the aspect of its inspiration as well. Overall, I just really enjoyed Eternights. Hell, I literally have the platinum for this game. They do multiple places in order to get it. I just really like this game. And just for a first-time game from Studio Sai, I just feel they did pretty damn well. Is it gonna be something amazing that blow your mind? No, and not every game has to be. Every game has to be good, and this is a good game. I really like the action aspects. Really feel like it does pretty do good job with the dating aspects, the course of romance. I really love how it handles the finale as well, and just stuff like that. It's just really enjoyed the game. I wish there were more control over what the protagonist is like, but once again, that's the kind of game that we're kind of doing here with the whole entire aspect dialogue problems. I do wish more of the gameplay didn't suck, the motorcycle part is just really bad, and I wish the prologue wasn't as exposity as humanly possible as it needs to be in order to try and get the premise set up pretty quickly, but also the fact that you can't skip it and repeat it over and over and over when you don't do New Game Plus. And there is New Game Plus for this game, so you can start the game with all your upgrades as well. So it's just a super cool thing you can do. Once again, you can't skip all cutscenes, you're going to skip certain kinds of cutscenes in this game, which I felt like they could have actually done with, but the game never got updated or a different kind of aspect, but I wish it did. Whole entire thing. But it's just a super fun game. I like the dungeons, I like the puzzles in the dungeons for the most part. I hate slide puzzles for my burning passion. So the whole entire thing. Characters are enjoyable. They're not anything super complex or amazing, but hey, the other characters for the games is things inspired by either. So it's just a fun game. It's a fun game, enjoyable. And also, I will say, when it comes to the game's finale, you may want your cell phone handy. I'm not gonna say why, but you may want that handy. I wonder if that footage of the motorcycle minigame section is still going on the review right now. I actually don't know. I'm recording this. I wonder if that's still going. Anywho, Eternights, super cool game, super cool hack and slash company dating sim. This is a cool game. I'm glad it was also a big success as well. It also got ported to Switch, which is funny because I remember when back before the State of Play announcement, the developers said how this game would definitely be going to Switch, but then I guess because of the publisher they had, I guess they had a contract to make it PlayStation exclusive, time exclusive. But nowadays it's on Switch. It's also got put on mobile as well by Crunchyroll, so it's on multiple platforms. It's not on Xbox though, which maybe one day could be on Xbox. And the developers already hard at work on their next title, which I am looking forward to after Eternights. This is a super cool game. I just really enjoy it.